And thank you guys for participating. It's nice to see everyone's faces. The general intent of the journey is to help repair the fabric of the web of life, because we as humans have undoubtedly done a lot to harm that fabric or put tears in that fabric. So that leaves a lot of latitude for everyone in their specific journeys. It leaves a lot of latitude in terms of being able to be drawn to a specific location or to work in a broader, more general way. And all of that is acceptable. And all of that is helpful. All of that is great, actually. So we're holding the space and then allowing our medicine to come through us. And as our medicine comes through us, then we're going to be able to bring it forth in our unique way, And that's really, well, all my teaching is about that, right? Allowing our medicine to move through us in our unique way. So we're not copycatting anybody else. And allowing our helpers, the spirit helpers that we work with, the benevolent helpers that we work with, to be able to make the choices of where we direct that energy that we're focusing. So if we're focusing energy on a specific location, great, right? And they're going to help us to say, well, this is what needs attention now, rather than us using our logic mind and our spirit mind to predetermine that. I was previously getting a lot of insight and journey work around the topics to share, wisdom of different things to bring forth in these circles. And as it's evolving, as the group is growing and solidifying with people who are showing up on a regular basis, it's opening it up to a little bit more co-creation in terms of saying we're just going to repair the fabric of the web of life. That's going to be our intention. And everybody's helpers are sort of going to be working together for that in the way that we're shown. So does that make sense to everybody? How that's shifting? Great. So before I go further, I'd just like to take a moment to go around and do some introductions. There's a few people who are new to this circle here joining us, and then, of course, some familiar faces. So Mike, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, hi, my name's Mike. I've been with Scott for quite some time now. I've done all the different courses, or almost all the courses that he offers. Been on some of the different calls that have happened in the past, but I've been vacant for a while, and this is the first time I've been back in a while. So, hi, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. And you're joining us from Germany.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for staying up late. I know is it midnight there right now?
It's 11 p.m. It's almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Drew, welcome, Drew.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, hi, everyone. My name is Drew. I'm a shamanic practitioner out of Richmond, Virginia. Got introduced to Scott recently via email, and so I'm really excited to come check this out.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Drew. Larry.
Hi, my name is Larry. I just met Scott last year. We did the first class with him, my wife and I. In fact, so I'm surprised she's not on this because she said she was going to try to get on this with us. I'm right now here in Kapa'a, and we just had such a wonderful experience with Scott that we're going to continue the work. So I'm happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for joining. We still need to find a time to get together socially and say hello. Suzanne? Just unmute yourself.
Sorry, yes.
It's your ego. Hi, I'm Suzanne. I live in Savannah, and I was also in Larry's class. I met Scott last November, physically, and did his first retreat. So this is my first Web of Life experience. I was racking my brains to find a topic, so it's kind of a relief that, it's going to be more general.
Great.
And
Thanks,
I'm
Suzanne.
happy if
Yeah,
you need.
thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Jimmy.
There we go. Couldn't find that unmute button. I'm Jimmy. I'm here in Texas. I've been on my little shamanic journey since I was very young, but I met Scott and took his class, what it was about maybe 2, 3 years ago, and I'm still going.
Great. And thanks for joining, Jimmy. Jimmy, you're here often with the Web of Life meetings, and one of the inspirations to help me make this a more regular schedule, Jimmy's like, can you please tell me when the next meetings are going to be so I can put them in my book? And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this regularly.
Yeah, and now that we did that, I told the people where I work at, I'm like, I need to be off every first Wednesday of the month.
Awesome. Thank you. And really thank you everybody for taking the time to do this. It's such an important work to be able to hold the space in this way and to give back to the Web of Life. I'm going to go more into that after we finish our introductions. Kaz?
Hi, I'm from Australia, and I have no idea how I ended up on this platform. I just really been flowing with everything at the moment, and I'm here, so I'm more here to listen and learn.
Thanks for joining us. Well, I did see you on the Navigating the Spirit World call
Yes,
a few weeks ago. And where in Australia are you from?
Perth.
Right on. I have a number of students who are in WA, and my wife is from Brisbane originally.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
lovely.
we try to go back to Oz a couple of times, well, once every couple of years. So, yeah, yeah. Thank you for joining us and getting up early.
Yeah,
Thanks for getting up
yeah,
early,
no worries.
Alicia.
Hi, I'm Alicia, and I have been doing shamanic work, not knowing what I was doing for a very long time. And then I had found the Web of Life with Scott, and kind of did that for a couple of years until I basically started working with him as a mentor about 3 years. We're on the third year. So I'm so happy to be here. I think this is so important. I know it's Scott's passion, but I think it's a lot of our passions too, whether we knew it or not. Scott pulls that right out of us. So I feel really honored to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia, and thanks for saying that. And again, thanks for bringing that forward the last time about doing this more regularly. Sometimes Spirit talks to us through our friends. It's it's not only through our direct connections, right? There's a funny story. I think Joseph Campbell told this story, and it's about an apprentice monk who was contemplating and meditating on the unity of all things, and I am one. And he goes into town, and on his way back to walk up to the monastery, he sees an elephant taxi driver coming down the elephant taxi coming down the pathway. Obviously, this is in Asia, right? And the he's just saying, I am one with the elephant, I am one. And then the elephant taxi driver screaming at him, get out of the way, get out of the way. And then finally they approach each other, and the elephant picks him up with the trunk and throws him into the woods. And he's bruised, not injured, very offended about his meditation on oneness not bringing him any closer to the elephant and this happening to him. So he goes back to the monastery and he talks to the abbot of the monastery. He says, what happened? I was meditating on the unity of all of us and the unity of God and all that. He goes, well, didn't you hear the voice of God telling you to get out of the way, speaking through the driver? And so we need to remember this. There are signs in ordinary reality that we can also and should also be aware of. It's not just what happens in the spirit world. It's what happens in both the spirit world and the physical world. And this is so important to understand that we need the balance of both. We are meant to have the balance of both. On a very scientific level, you could say it's like we can attune our brainwave frequencies just the way you tune a radio dial for those of you who remember radios with dials that weren't digital, right? Okay, so you tuned a frequency and you spun the little knob, and in between you get static, but then you hit different channels, right? And if you're on one station, you're not hearing what's happening in the other station. And when you go to the other station, you're not hearing what's happening in the first station. So that's how our minds work, our spirit mind and our logic mind, right? Our spirit mind works on the spirit mind channel, and our logic mind works on the logic mind channel, and there's specific brainwave states that are associated with each one. Okay, so we don't want to, there's Kathy. We don't want to have one at the exclusion of the other. If we have one to the exclusion of the other, then we miss half of our potential for consciousness, half of our potential for awareness, and half of the experiences that are out there in the world, seen and unseen, right? And it's the same if we only attune to the spirit world frequencies. Then we end up being someone who has a hard time functioning in day-to-day reality, navigating the things we all have to do, like paying our mortgage or our rent and, having a job and all that kind of stuff. And so we want to make sure we keep that balance and be able to navigate back and forth between those two effectively. And so my friend Alicia was there sharing with me something that I needed to pay attention to in ordinary reality. And that's how we ended up with this new format here. So before I go on, Kathy, you want to just say hi to everybody? We did our introductions already, but
Sorry, I had trouble getting in. Okay. Hi, I'm Kathy Crodeville. Completed level 1 with Scott in November.
great.
Good.
And you're in California still?
I'm in California, yes.
Yeah, you're not back here yet with Larry.
Yes, correct.
So for those of you who didn't get that, that's Larry's wife.
Hi.
Thanks, Kathy.
Mhm.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Let's see, I've done this before. I'm Linda from Cleveland, Ohio, and I finished class 2 with Scott. Was that in June this past year? So I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us, Linda. So great. So we are, I just want to say a little bit more about this change. Well, we're talking about how we're doing this work now, meeting every month on the first Wednesday of each month. And I want to say a little bit more about the Web of Life journeys and the intentions behind these Web of Life journeys in terms of repairing the fabric of the Web of Life. So one of the insights that came to me in journey work recently was, and I've known this in different ways, right? So what happens for me a lot of times is I'll get an insight and then it will integrate and sink in and become part of my daily life. And then another level of it will come and another and another. So I just recently had a whole nother level of depth to this insight about the importance of what it means to carry our own medicine. So many of you have heard the term of being a medicine carrier, carrying your medicine. We like to talk about bringing forth our medicine. And what's important here is also what type of medicine do I carry, right? So all of us here, we're carrying medicine for the light, for healing, for making a positive contribution to the web of life. We work with life-affirming spirits only, and that's why I put that very clearly in my Web of Life announcement, to work exclusively with life-affirming spirits for the purposes of healing or bringing the Web of Life back into balance. Okay, that's very important. So the more strongly that I can connect to the spirits that I work with, the life-affirming spirits that I work with, and to the medicine that I carry, the more I embody that in the physical world. Okay, so we tend to think of in shamanism that I go and I meet these spirits and they help me, and I have these helping spirits. And it's true, I do. And if I'm doing a session for somebody, I call on those spirits and they channel through me to do the healing work. I act as a hollow bone, and they'll do healing work for my client, on behalf of my client, okay, to help my client come back into balance. And there's a bigger picture. It's not just about that person on my table. It's about when that happens, they're helping, by helping that person come back into balance, whomever it may be. That person is more able to live in right relationship and to act as a steward, a custodian, a caretaker of the web of life. Okay? So it's a two-way street. I'm not just, they're not only just helping me. It's true. I do go to the spirit world. I ask for help and I receive help. Okay. And the other part of that bargain, the exchange, if you will, the equal exchange, is that I then embody or help embody the mission of the healing spirits and helping spirits that I work with to help effect change and influence change in the physical world. Because the spirits aren't able to impact the physical world directly. We as humans do that. So when we embody that, okay, we are acting as their agents in the physical world, just as they act as our agents in the spirit world. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, okay. And you see how important that is and how often that is overlooked, right? It's a very known thing, but it's often overlooked, especially in the way shamanism is taught now. Okay, the way shamanism is taught now, it's often quite overlooked. Okay, and this is because a lot of times what happens is when people teach, they potentially learn from a lineage, but they're not learning, but the people in that lineage may not be actually carrying the medicine anymore. They may be, but they may not be, right? They may have learned from someone who learned from someone who learned from somebody, and along the way, it got diluted, so it became repetition of certain practices or exercises. And yes, of course, certain teachings like being able to journey, basic teachings around that and our energy body, our light body, all that can be passed down. Okay. But there's a difference between embodying a teaching or embodying the medicine versus repeating it. And so that those of you who have studied with me know this is how I teach for everybody to embody your own medicine individually, your unique medicine, whatever that is. So I have Scott medicine, Alicia has Alicia medicine, Jimmy has Jimmy medicine, Mike is Mike medicine. It's not a competition. It's a collaboration, right? And so what we're doing here when we set a broad topic such as we're going to help repair the fabric of the web of life. We're going to get everybody's medicine. Sherry, Mike, Drew, Larry, Suzanne, Jimmy, Scott, Kaz, Alicia, Kathy, Linda, and anybody else who's watching this on video. And we're combining those medicines in a way for a singular intent, right? And then it becomes more powerful because it becomes the embodiment of multiple different ways in which that stream of healing medicine flows through us. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody got that? Okay. And so another thing that I feel to share is that the more conscious we are in bringing forth our medicine, the more we reaffirm that on a day-to-day basis, the less we embody unconsciously the parasitic forces that tend to attach to us, right? So there are parasitic forces, spiritual forces that we are often not conscious of, and they tend to attach to us through our shadow, through our blind spots, right? Through things like retaliation or many different ways, okay? And when they do, then we end up unconsciously becoming agents for those forces to influence the physical world. And we don't want to do that. Okay, so this is why we have to be very clear about what we invoke day by day. And so the more that we can connect into our helping spirits, whether it's a power animal or a teacher or a benevolent ancestor, and the more clear we are in that, it's a clearer channel that we're bringing in when we're bridging heaven and earth, when we're bringing that spiritual force down into the physical world. It comes through with less distortion. Okay? So that's my little tidbit for today. Does anybody have any questions about anything that was just said, or about the Web of Life in general, or just anything else that is coming up? Okay, so we're going to journey. You guys know the journey intention. If you have not journeyed to the upper world before, then please just journey to the lower world, meet your power animal, and ask your power animal to help you repair the fabric of the Web of Life. And for those of you who have journeyed to both the upper and the lower world, you can choose where you go with that. All right, here we go. welcome back, everybody. So who'd like to share? Are you guys ready to share? You guys feel ready? Need another minute? Okay. Who'd like to share first about what they were shown in their journey just now? We'll take time and everybody will have a chance. Just go ahead.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I went to the upper world. And I spoke with a spirit teacher, and basically, what he had said was to have kind words for other people, for strangers, to myself, and that goes a long way for healing. Even he said, showing kindness heals, can heal physical pain as well as emotional, and have kind gestures, whether it's just a simple as a smile or open the door for someone. He says that can do so much and have a ripple effect. Basically, it's a little bit more to it than that, but that's the gist.
All right. Well, there you go. You got your marching orders for the month.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I have opportunity because I see a lot of strangers. As a massage therapist, I see a lot of people.
Yeah, right. You do get a exposure to a good cross section of society, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. Who'd like to share next? Go ahead, Katz.
I had a bit of issue with the sound, but I ended up doing more of a meditation state. Um, I went to the lower world, and I exited out my back door to this beautiful pomegranate tree. And I went down the pomegranate tree, like through the roots, so it created kind of a tunnel. And I went down there and I came across an ant nest, and I spoke to an ant, and then basically asking, the direction, and and basically they just came out of the nest and just covered me. And then they came back down, which there was just a light, and they showed me the trees, and the trees were like luminescent, and the roots and everything sort of going through the ground, and you could see the luminescent through all the connection, and yeah. And then all my sound went funny, and sort of I lost connection after that.
Yeah. Wow, that's really beautiful. And the ants are powerful examples of working together in a community,
Yeah.
right? You don't have too many individual ants doing their own thing.
No, well, I spoke to one and I felt that he was like the ringmaster, like, the leader, but not quite. And the speaker of all of them, the voiceful one. And then, and the rest came out, and it was
Right. He was
beautiful.
the scout. Who is this person?
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Let me relay this back to the commune and
Yeah,
I'll come back with
basically they
instructions.
all came out at once. Yeah. So
Right. And also just as far as us as a species working together to help the web of life and there is a communal feeling. It's not about, oh, what's in it for me?
yeah, it was exactly like that. It was just more of a unity of energy.
Yeah. And that's really nice that you could see the trees luminescent as well. So the trees are sort of coming back alive from your, right. That's what I hear when I hear your journey.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Nice.
Who'd like to go next? Mike.
I'll go next. Before we had the session, some of the things that I wrote down were love, compassion, connection. And I have a star on convert negative hate to positive love and connection. So that resonates with what the other folks just said. During the journey, when I went down or went up to the upper world with with eagle and with crow, I saw a line of blue. And while I was looking at this line of blue, whatever it represents, this energy, there were waves in that blue line. And the waves in that blue line are basically distractions, basically telling us that we're in a time of attempted fear and uncertainty. And the solutions to break out of that for healing are concentrating on the connections, on grounding, on love, compassion, and our own truths. So I think that resonates with what everyone else said so far. And the parasite's goal is basically separating. So for that, we need balance, and we need to move away from focusing on extremes. And that goes back to those three words: love, compassion, connection.
Yeah, really beautiful, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. And there's a power to, it's kind of oversaid, right? Visualize what you want. But there's a reason it's oversaid, because there is a power behind it. It's been, of course, diluted and overused and not necessarily used properly. But when we understand that visualize the outcome allows us a marker towards our destination, right? So if you're flying a plane, or you're sailing a sailboat, or even a non-sailboat, right, a powerboat, and you're on the open water, you pick, and you're not in the open ocean, right? You're still within sight of land. Often you navigate by picking a site that you move towards, so that you're not getting pushed off course by the currents and all the other things that are happening there. So that's a important thing to understand. When we talk about visualization, the importance of it is making sure that we are very clear about our destination, and that is what allows us to tune out the distractions, if you will, or move past those distractions. Because that's it, right? Shock and awe, get everybody riled up. And that's one of the tactics there is to do it in a way that's really offensive, right? Because if I can trigger you, then now you're talking now, and then you react, then I can talk about your reactions and how wrong you are for reacting and being offended. Meanwhile, your goal has been completely sidetracked.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah. And in that, right, and in that blue line, it was interesting because I believe it was either the first course, the second course, we had this topic before. And I think that was the first time those major distractions were going on. And we had one of the sessions where I think we were working on snake medicine. And one of those themes came back, especially with the parasitic energy and deflecting it and concentrating on the things that we want to see. So yeah, it was good.
That's a powerful journey. Thank you for sharing it, Mike.
Thanks.
Thanks. Hi, Britt. Thanks for joining us. We already completed our journey, but you can hear what everybody's journey summaries are. If you want to unmute yourself and just say hi to the group and where you're joining from, that would be great.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. I am late. Thank you. I appreciate you very much.
No worries. Thanks. Where are you joining us from?
From Sweden.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Britt, for joining us. And you can listen to what everybody else's journeys were. And thanks
Yes,
for
I will.
thanks for staying up late as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, who'd like to share next? Go ahead, Alicia.
So I went to the upper world and met with one of my personal tribal council members, and he brought me to like almost like the Grand Canyon edge, and the river was down below. And he talked about how the river is becoming less and less water. And I asked, how can we make water abundant? And he's like, it's not just about the water, it's really representing the web of life. And he said it really starts right at home with self-love. He said when you are able to love yourself, it will change the vibrations not only for you, but the interactions that you have with people around you and the universe too. So if you can start with self-love and then, everything you do, whether you're, in nature or whether you're working with people, it will increase and change the vibration for them as well. Um, so it kind of goes along the theme of everybody's love, compassion, connection. And then for me personally, because I know what I do for my career is also involved with that. And I said, is there anything I can do that doesn't have to do with my job that can help? And I'm in the middle of a transition, moving just about an hour south of here, and it said there'll be an opportunity, and it didn't tell me what it was. When I move, there'll be an opportunity for me to share awareness with a group of people that people just don't think have the awareness, or they're a group of people that might be, people see them as angry people or dumb people, not very intelligent people, but none of that's true. And as I work on the self-love, by the time I make the move and I have this opportunity, I'll know when the opportunity comes up that I'll be able to share awareness with this group of people. They called it the forgotten people, the people that nobody believes can also care about the web of life, but it is part of their way of life, nature and all of that. So it's going to be very important for them to listen to the message that I have to bring, and it'll bring awareness that will change the way they think as well. So that's pretty much it.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Alicia. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes, thank you.
That ties in a little bit with what I was shown in my journey, which was my helpers took me on sort of a world tour, a rather whirlwind world tour. And so we start to circle the planet, right? So the first thing that happens in my journey, usually when I do this journey, is we weave the web around the world, or we reweave the web. So repair the fabric where there are tears in the fabric. And usually that happens, sort of with a outer space view from above looking down, like from the North Pole looking down. But this time, we started to go around and follow. First, we made like a broad sweep in a wave-like pattern, and we came across Asia and Europe and down to Africa, and then down to the tip of South America and back up and up to Alaska, all the way up through the Americas to Alaska. And then we continue to rotate around the planet from Alaska to Russia, coming around to Northern Europe and Canada, and then dropping down about 20 degrees of latitude and doing it again. And so we did a number of circles there around the Earth. I think we did 5 or 6 revolutions around the Earth in that way. And as we were doing that, what was happening is I was being shown different peoples and different cultures, all different peoples and different cultures, and the mix, right? Living side by side, and how just sort of like shaking each other's hand or greeting each other, and oh, you actually care about the web of life too. We do this in different ways, but we both have the same objective. We both want to see the caribou come back in the north. We both want to see the reef come back in the tropical regions, right? And all, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and shaking of hands. And then I saw this grand collaboration of sort of the different cultures and different peoples stitching together and working together in a different way than we have in the past, in acceptance. And so it ties into what you said there, Alicia, about people who have been sort of written off as never going to be part of the solution. But actually, if we exclude people from the solution, then we will never have a solution. Because we cannot have a solution if we're excluding people. It just doesn't work that way. There's a solution. We share the planet with them. So everyone has to have buy-in to the solution. Everybody has to work together and feel like they not only have buy-in, but feel like they're contributing to the solution, right? So, that hunter that's out, hunting all the time and maybe drinking a bunch of beer, right? Also loves the animals, even if they're hunting them. Well, not everybody, but some of them do. And they care and they spend a lot of time outdoors. They love the environment. That's why they spend a lot of time outdoors. And they have a knowledge of the environment that maybe you and I don't have because of their experience. And yet nobody's asked, what do you see? What do you see? So sometimes they'll ask, like more indigenous tribal peoples, what do you see? And they'll say, oh, well, this is changing and that is changing. But then it's just written off and it's sort of like, okay, we did that to say we did that, but it's not being considered. And actually, it's much more than buy-in, it's co-creation, where everybody from all levels has a contribution to make as we weave this back together. And then I was shown this really beautiful picture at the end. So when I was in Peru last June, there was we visited a place that they call it I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a bridge over a canyon. And it's a very sheer walled canyon with a very icy cold river at the bottom. And the bridge is about, I don't know, 50 meters above the canyon floor. And what makes the bridge unique is that it's a hand-woven bridge. So there's also a vehicle bridge that you can drive around to do, but this hand-woven bridge is made out of rope, and the rope is made from a local grass. And I'm not sure if it's every year or every few years, the village gets together, the communities, and it's not just one village, it's like 3 or 4 villages. So it's slightly different culture. Each one has their own their own customs, but they all come down and they get together and they weave the bridge together. And so first they gather the grass and then they weave, and some of the rope that they have woven is that thick in diameter. And then other ones are smaller and smaller and smaller. And so they do it all together. And then the base of the bridge is sticks. And so you walk across this canyon and as I said, it's quite high over the river. So if it were to break, you would die. There would be no survival. It's a fast moving river below that's icy cold. You'd get swept away or you'd land on the rocks, and it's at least 100-foot drop. And then the distance across, it takes about 45 seconds, a minute to walk across it. So it's not a short distance. It's not like just a few feet across. It's probably a couple of 100 feet from one side to the other. So it's quite an endeavor of collaboration. And I was shown that collaboration being the collaboration between the different peoples now that is needed. And so I was shown this sort of like almost like everybody putting down their tools and walking off the job, but it wasn't they were walking off their jobs, they were walking off the old way of consciousness, the old consciousness of separation. And that's something that Mike said about the separation, and realizing that we have a lot more in common with each other than we have that's different from each other. And this type of teamwork, working together for a common goal. And it felt like an uprising, but not in terms of a revolution, an uprising in terms of like the rising of a tide or the incoming of a wave. And there's nothing that really, it's just happening. There's nothing that stops it. It happens. And you can't stop the tide from rising. You can't just stop the wave from coming. It's just a consciousness shifting. And then I was shown again that my part in that is just to help facilitate through these types of meetings and to maintain the purity of that mission, if you will, of we're out here to really spread this and to have more and more people join within this movement towards healing the web of life and doing these. And it doesn't always have to be through a shamanic journey circle, right? But the shamanic journey circle is the place that brings us together where we meet. And then maybe it is, as Jimmy was saying, an act of day-to-day kindness or something different that we happen in ordinary reality. But the fact is as we continue, every one of you here who's participating, you become a node that then spreads out these vibrations so that it can reach more and more people. And that's how we eventually shift the consciousness towards this right alignment of stepping into our roles of caretakers of the web of life and helping to heal the web of life. Thank you for listening. Who'd like to share next? Go ahead, Suzanne. You're muted still.
Okay, hi. This is sort of similar to your journey and Alicia's, I think. I just got back from Cape Cod, and when I was there, I go there quite often, and I had breakfast with a friend, and I said, you know, we're going to have this web of life journey meeting, and I'd like to know what are the issues here in this place that I love so much. And he said, well, you know, the seals are dying. And I said, what's going on? And it used to be 5-10 years ago, in the summer, they would die because the great white sharks would come and would eat them because of a scarcity of food. But now, he said, they have an illness, a disease, and they don't know what it is. And also, there's a problem with the fishermen not being able to earn their living because there's not a lot of fish. So I had thought before I came to our group that I would journey about that. And then when you talked about a more general kind of journey, I asked in my journey if it was appropriate, if I should pursue that route. So I got a yes, kind of. I never get a yes. I just like, I'm there. And I went to the upper world. And what was shown to me by my spirit guide first was a big hole in the sky, which I'm guessing is the ozone layer. And then I was shown a lot of trees with sort of like fungi growth over them. They're pretty to look at, but maybe they're not very healthy. And then I saw petroleum in the water. And then I saw a lot of young kids, boisterous young kids, in their boats in the summertime coming, you know, having a blast, losing it up and whatnot, causing a lot of disruption. So I got the sense that that sacred Native American spirit energy that was always so prevalent there is sort of fading. And they were sad. These seals were sad. It's like our life is not worth living, you know? And that was very sad. And then I remembered sort of after as I was taking. So at this point, it was not like, just show me what's going on maybe. And so then when I was writing down, I remembered that when I lived in California, when I worked there in San Francisco, there was this group in Marin County that would work with seals, and they would sort of stroke them and rub them. And they had a lot of chlamydia for whatever reason. So I just was wondering, there is a woman there who used to work for Woods Hole and in the pathology department. So I was thinking, and she is in the meetup hiking group of my soul sister that I just visited. Maybe I could talk to her about their group looking into that, just giving these seals some love, which kind of seems to be a theme that's coming up, right? So that's kind of what came for me on this first journey.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Suzanne. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, here we have the monk seals on Kauai. And one of the issues that affects them is toxoplasmosis, which is actually comes from cat litter.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. And so we have so many feral cats. It's not as much of a problem here on Kauai as it is in Oahu. But on Oahu, there's a lot of toxoplasmosis from the feral cats and also from the sewer system, the wastewater treatment that gets into the water. And so we'll have the monk seals that they travel between the islands, and when they birth, the seal volunteers will try to go down and grab the placenta to test for it, to make sure that it doesn't spread. And yeah, so that's something that I don't know if that might be affecting the seals in Cape Cod as well, but
It might be because there's a lot of areas that are changing from the septic tank system to main sewer system. So
right.
it could be
Yeah.
that could be the toxo. I'll let them know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. It's beautiful, beautiful journey, and you're inspired by just being there, so that's wonderful. Who'd like to share next?
I can go, Scott.
Go ahead.
Hey, y'all, this is Drew. So this is my first journey with this group. I went down to the lower world to start and just realized that it was nighttime. First thing I realized, and became very clear very quickly that Midnight Jaguar, Panther, was with me. She's a good representation of my divine feminine as well. And so I was with her for a moment, and then Father Eagle came as well. And they held hands and kind of stood there in solidarity together. And then before I kind of went on too much of a journey, she took me to a place where I saw those tree roots that have been mentioned before. You could kind of see the roots going up and the roots going down, and I laid right in the middle of those and just released any energy that was no longer serving me. And then Midnight Jaguar, she took me on her back and brought me to this place in Peru in the Amazon, where I received a lot of healing myself, and just directed me to put my hands directly on the earth, and just to breathe some power and life back to that place. And that was really powerful. Like, lots of tears and lots of mucus, to be honest, coming out during that moment. And then Father Eagle came back quickly, and took me on his back up to the upper world. And I asked, how may I be of service to the web of life? And the first hit that I got was love, loving other folks, loving people unconditionally. But then he kind of had me look down from the heavens and again, like put my hands down and shoot down a huaca, or a kind of a pillar of light, down to that same place where I had just put my hands on the earth in the Amazon. And yeah, it ended up being this beautiful tree. I remember it so distinctly from this retreat center, that was that place. Yeah, and then I was kind of up there. I had a little bit more time, and I ended up just bowing to the ascended masters up there. Just 3 big bows, just an act of humility, and then came back.
Thank you, Drew. That's really beautiful, especially since it's a place where you received healing previously for yourself. And so completing the circle
Exactly.
is really beautiful to complete the circle in that way. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. I got a lot of, as you were sharing it, I could see that beam of light. I could see some of the pictures that you were describing as you were describing them. That was really cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Who'd like to share next? Larry.
Yeah, hi. So again, yeah, this is my first journey with this group, and thank you for all your sharing. My journey was kind of interesting in that it kind of embodied a number of the comments that have already been made about showing love and being respectful and honest and happy with others in the world. And I was reminded, well, I went up to the upper world and I have this bright light of a female spirit that is one of my spirit guides up there. And we just kind of sat in this whole glow, if you will, for the entire journey. And she reminded me that um, this was a very personal sort of thing. It didn't go into, the world and like you mentioned, Scott, but it was more personal for me that I get up in the morning and I just kind of go about my business and make coffee and do stuff as though oblivious to all this stuff that's going on around me. And in fact, quite judgmental about certain peoples who, for example, politically I disagree with. And so I tend to ignore them and not even want to talk to them and not even listen to what they have to say. And yet, a number of comments here, and even yours, Scott, kind of follows that in that, wait, you need to listen. They are part of this world as well. And to ignore them is being unjust to the web of life. And so one of the things that I can do is to repair my little part of the web of life is to start to treat them as though they were equals and they were just like anybody else. I should treat them with respect and with love and kindness and friendship, even though I disagree completely with their thoughts and their ideas. And so I was asked to come up with a way, and I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe I have to journey again to do this, but to come up with a way that in the morning when I wake up, I can somehow get myself into that mode of embodying the work of the benevolent spirits rather than me just going on about my physical world. So that's what I was asked to do to try and figure that out.
Yeah, that's great. That's really
Yeah.
powerful. That's really powerful. Mike, you have something you want to share about that?
Let me okay, now I'm off mute. There was one thing when, Larry, when I heard you say that, I wanted to journey for a way to relax. There's one thing, one of the courses that Scott teaches is the Wuji meditation, the energy body. And it's also something that I do with a group here with some of the older senior citizens. We do the breathing exercises. And sometimes I find, like you, when there's something that I politically disagree with, and I start to notice that it gets to me, what I do is I just do the breathing exercises, the Wuji meditation. And I find even after 3 breaths, it's just amazing. You're not in that aggressive state. You're not in that state where you feel someone applying pressure to you. You push back. And I don't know if that's right for you. That's something that you have to find out in your own journey. But at least with the people that I work with, and there's quite a few now, a lot of them always come back and say that the best part of the session that we do with the senior citizens is the 3 breaths. So your finger into your belly button, one hand on the stomach, the other hand, you breathe through your stomach in and out just 3 times. And then just concentrating on the breath in and out. When you breathe in, your tongue goes up to the roof of your mouth. When you breathe out, your tongue goes back down. And you do that 3 times, and you'll find that in situations of stress or something like that, you very quickly come back down again. You ground yourself. So that's all. I don't know if that's the right thing for you, but I can just say the work that I've done with a lot of folks, that seems to resonate very well with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Scott, in the class that we did the energy body work. And I did notice that, for example, before I journey, I tend to do that in order to just kind of ground myself so that I can journey easier. And I never, and until you just mentioned it, never really thought about using it in times of stress, which makes a lot of sense. And it's just like, yeah, why not? So thank you. That's a great comment. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Larry. I just want to add to something about that. So how it works, right? Um, so the grounding part is because it strengthens our anchor to the center of the earth through our bubbling well points, through the bottom of our feet. Okay. So when we're doing that, if you remember in the bone breathing part of that class, we were lifting the chi up from this earth, from Mother Earth, through the Wu Chi points and into our lower dantian, into the Wu Chi point, and then releasing it back down. Okay, so that's the grounding part. The other way that that works too is that when we begin to deepen that practice, a type of breath happens where we begin to feel our nei chi, which is the internal chi that we talk about in that class. And as our nei chi gets stronger, the wei chi, which is the external chi, also gets stronger. Okay, because they are actually one circuit. The internal and the external are one circuit. We can describe them with different words because it's useful to be able to say that which is contained within the space that our physical body occupies, and that which is in the space that is the edge of our energetic field. Okay, that's Wei Qi, and then Nei Qi is the internal spot. So if we strengthen the Nei Qi, which is also what feeds our organs, okay, and our vitality and our longevity, the Wei Qi naturally will strengthen. And then anything that is floating around up there, you have to remember, it's not a spirit, it's a projection. It's somebody else's idea of what they think you should believe. And so as your Wei Qi gets stronger, that just disintegrates on it, sort of like a small asteroid disintegrating on impact to the Earth's atmosphere. Okay. So I hope that visualization is helpful and useful for you in why what Mike is suggesting would be helpful. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And then I'm also going to say one other thing too about that, what you said of being inclusive of people who you strongly disagree with. It's very simple to diffuse. Okay, that's your opinion. You're entitled to that opinion, and let's talk about something else because we radically disagree about this, and maybe what we're radically disagreeing on is a strategy or a method, right? Because politics is often about the method to achieve a goal. And politicians are really good at saying something that everybody wants and then saying, and my way is the way we're going to get there, right? Like, who doesn't want to have a healthier America? Who doesn't want to have, right, more prosperity? Who doesn't want to have less crime? We can all agree about that, okay? But, the devil's in the details, if you will, right? And so we can say, well, let's have a discussion about what we agree on and not what we disagree on. Let's say, okay, let's just intend. Let's not worry about how we get there right now. And you can be thinking, poor you, you drank the Kool-Aid, you're completely delusional, right? And you can look at it as if they did. They drank the spiked Kool-Aid and they didn't know it was spiked. And you have to kind of talk to them that way in your mind. And they might be thinking the very same thing about you. You drank the other Kool-Aid. It's different colored, but it was still Kool-Aid in their eyes. Okay? But there is a common ground there. There's a commonality of what actually the shared intention is, right? Which is we can all agree that we would like to have the environment be more in balance. We can all agree that we would like to have many people be able to afford a good place to live. We might disagree on the strategy of how we get there, but we can all pretty much agree that it would be nice if everybody had a safe place to live and we're, you know, out on the streets trying to find shelter every night. Like we can all agree about that. So that's just something I felt to throw out there to you, Larry, when based on what you saw, and it's a really beautiful and important journey. Thank you. Who'd like to share next? I think we have Linda and Kathy. Linda?
I think in following up on what you had to say, my message was very brief, but the message was that the decisions that the United States is making is actually going to force other countries to heal some of their web of life. Like there are going to be other countries will be reaching out and healing other relationships from other countries that they possibly never were able to do before, you know, to be able to survive in their situation. So that was kind of the message that I received.
No, that's really interesting. So basically, like they were counting on a specific partner, and then that partner didn't show up in the way they expected. So now they're looking to other people whom they may not have looked to previously, like their neighbor, for example, right? And
You know,
that's
like they always say that we things happen for a reason, you know, and so we can't see, like I can't see it, but that so that maybe that message was for me to be like all is not, you know, all is not bad in this situation. There will be things that come out of this that will be very healing for many people. So
yeah. Thank you. And that does track quite in alignment with what I was shown in my journey because it was a very regional where I was shown people collaborating with their neighbors rather than across oceans or you know on the other side of the world. And so it's interesting because oftentimes, you know, in world geopolitics, it will be trying to exploit regional conflicts, right, to achieve a agenda that is a foreign agenda. Um, but sometimes it's, you know, they can go, okay, you know, this isn't working anymore. Let's look right next door. What's happening? Oh, actually, yeah, we do have something in common here. And it's not necessarily a common enemy, which is how that's often exploited, but a common desire, a common goal. So yeah, thank you, Linda. Thank you for sharing that. Kathy?
Okay, guess it's me.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of shared a little bit of Alicia and a little bit of Scott's what they were seeing too. So I went to the lower world and I was met by a huge whale. And the whale took me on a journey around the world to multiple locations over and over again, kept flashing. And every location was a location where the sky and the water and the land joined together. Just kept flash after flash after flash, different places around the world. And every time I went to a new location, I was told it's about the water. It's about the water. It's about the water over and over again. The whale kept telling this over and over again. And I was told that I could help by being someone who can help others see the beauty and life-giving forces of water to foster a deep soulful connection to the land and the seas. Once people feel that deep soulful connection to the land, the sea, the sky, they'll take steps to protect it. And they kept telling me they need to feel it, not just see it, but they need to feel the beauty of nature deep in their souls. And that's what I had, which was kind of aligned a little bit with Alicia and Scott.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you, Kathy, for sharing that. And it is a feeling, right? It's a feeling, it's a knowing, it's almost very hard to articulate.
It's a resonance deep inside you.
Right, exactly. And we could call it an empathy, even.
Yeah, and to
right?
respect.
Right. And yeah, that empathy breeds respect,
Yes.
right? It's the earth, you know, I'm part of the earth. I'm
Right.
not, it's not something for me
I'm
to
not out,
just,
it's not outside of me. And that was the
Yeah.
general feeling I got, was that idea that if people can connect to that, then it doesn't feel like outside of them. It feels like part of them, and then they'll want to make the world a better place.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. And there's a part where we're inseparable from it, and we
Hmm.
become, kind of what I was saying earlier, about we become agents for the spiritual forces that we allow to act through us, and
Right.
therefore embody that as agents for those forces. So we can actually become agents for the Mother Earth, for the web of life. And then our actions are guided by that. We still have free will, right? We're not surrendering our free will, but we get that guidance, and we kind of magically get put in the right place at the right time with the right people,
Mhm.
right? To take the right action
Mhm.
with the right prayer at the
Right.
right
But
time.
it was the message I was getting was about the disconnect, and how important it is to bring that disconnection back together again,
Right, to reconnect.
to
That's right.
reconnect. Right.
That's creating the reconnect when
Right.
we become agents for the web of life in that way, we help to reconnect and create that community. We
Mhm.
reweave the web, repair the, just like repairing a tear in your shirt, you weave it back together.
Right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kat.
I'm not quite sure about the message over and over again. It's about the water, although there was what Suzanne was talking about what she was seeing. And I think, Scott, you mentioned some things about what's happening in the water as well. So that was coming through other people as well.
Well, and also the water runs through all of us. The
Yes,
water is the
true. We're
life.
made of water. That's
Yeah,
right.
the water is the lifeblood of the earth.
Right.
So, there's a lot of water within us
It's
that
about the water.
it runs through. And well, you haven't done that journey yet on merging with water,
Oh,
but
no, that sounds cool.
that's starting in, well, when you join us in March,
Okay, great.
you'll do that journey, and then that might make a little bit more sense
Okay.
about what that is.
Could I add something to Kathy?
Yeah.
Please.
When you spoke about disconnect, it sort of came to me, so that these summer people that are coming in are disconnected to the land and the water,
Mm-hmm.
and so they feel themselves distinct and separate from it, causing this sort of disruption, maybe, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
May I ask a question of Alicia? Alicia, I know that you started with water, and then you said that was moving you into another place. I was just really curious about what the connection was with the water, with the messages you were given.
The water, I have a connection to water.
Ah,
And the water was, so I thought the whole message at first was going to be that there wasn't much water, and that's an issue. But then they said there can be, there will be. I think they were using the water as a reference to the healing,
ah,
and it can become abundant as self-love, change vibration, and then of course, connect with the people that you think you wouldn't, the forgotten people, they kept calling it, and that creates the abundance of water, which is the abundance of healing. So I think
okay,
the
thank
water
you.
for me was more of a metaphor of healing the web of life,
Okay, thank you.
of course.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? So before we end for the day, just want to say thank you all again for taking the time to be here, and to dedicate your time and energy and positivity to healing the web of life. For those of you who haven't taken Fundamentals of Shamanism with me yet, I am running a live class that starts in 2 weeks on February 19th. It's an online class. We meet 5 days, so it's the 19th, 21st, 24th, 26th, and 28th of February at this time. Well, at starting at noon Hawaii time. It's a 5-day class. You can find it on my website. You can email me if you have questions or want to join. And several of you here have already registered for a very exciting event, which is our retreat in Peru in 2026. We'll be seeing a few of you there for sure. I just wanted to talk about that for a moment, which is that because Mike was bringing up the energy body course that I teach. I'm going to be teaching that course and a level 2 of that course that I've never taught before. So it's going to be a very in-depth dive into the energy body work. And we're going to have we're going to be staying at a wonderful retreat center in the Sacred Valley. Right outside the teaching room is a 1,000-year-old tree. And so
Wow.
we'll also be doing some journey work to the web of life and the spirit of the land there. And we'll be staying there for a week, and then afterwards we'll be doing a week of traveling to the sacred sites with local guide who I spent 9 days with when I was there last June, and we traveled to a bunch of different places together. Really wonderful person. His name is Julian. Um, and yeah, so we'll be doing some shamanic journey work as well during that retreat. So those of you who I know some of you may not have been caught the memo on that because I only announced it once back in October, and some people pre-registered, and then I haven't really sent it out since because we had a bunch of people sign up already. But I do want to open up to this Web of Life group. So far everybody who is joining has worked with me already, and so I'm excited for people who maybe you guys know each other already from one of the video classes or in a circle together, but you've never actually met. And there's a lot of people who are going to be joining who I feel like I know them very well, but I've never met them in flesh reality. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. That's going to be in May 2026, May 1st through the 13th of 2026. And so anybody who wants more info about that, you can just email me about it. I don't have it listed on my website because it is right now just by word of mouth that we're allowing people to sign up. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next month, if not sooner.
Thank you all.